Heavenly Father, your hope. The words that have come to me in my life. You're the creator of heaven and earth, and I come before your throne with reverence and awe, acknowledging your majesty and glory that surrounds you, Father. And I thank you for the revelations that you had given to Ezekiel by the rivers of Chebar during the Babylonian captivity, when the heavens was open and he beheld the visions that was given to him. And like Ezekiel, who found himself among the captives in a strange land, we too, Father, today we find ourselves in this spiritual captivity, and not by the waters of Babylon, Father, but imprisoned in our own mind. The walls of our own captivity has built these worldly philosophies, deceptive medias, and endless distractions. This constant noise that drowns out your voice. Oh, Father, we've been carried away to this digital Babylon. The false images replace true visions. The shadows of information crowds out the deep wisdom. Our attention has been fragmented, our focus scattered, and our spiritual discernment dulled. So we ask you to reveal unto us, Father, as you did Ezekiel, those four creatures have their four faces: the man, the lion, the ox, and the eagle. And I ask to teach us to develop these four standards within our character, to grant us the understanding and wisdom of the man to properly understand your word. So I seek, Father, for where you can install in each and every one of us the authority and the standards to stand firm against compromise. Develop within us the service, Father, the diligence, the standards to faithfully implement your precepts, to open our eyes, to see the visions of the perceptions, even like the eagle, to see beyond the natural limitations into the spiritual realities. So, Father, I ask to be placed in the will within the will to deliver us from the rigid mechanical thinking that keeps us from turning into circles and making our own lives and own destruction. So just as the wheels followed the living creatures and moved in whatever direction the Spirit led, I ask you to teach us to respond instantly, Father, to guide us without turning aside. Break us from the mechanical patterns to keep us from the traps of these unpredictable pathways. Liberate our minds from the programmed responses and restore the spontaneous spirit and movement. We change direction without turning, responding immediately to your divine will. So I ask, Father, to position us beneath the crystal firmament of your authority, that we can see the stars of your promises, even as the darkest times. So like the living creatures who stood, lowered their wings to hear your voice from above, I ask you to teach us to cease from this frantic activity and create a space of stillness, and we can hear your voice speaking from above the firmament. Because in a world of ceaseless noise and relentless motion, I ask that you grant us the wisdom to know when to stand and when to still, Lord, our wings of our self-effort. I ask you to sit us upon the King's highway, to pass straight through the territories of the world without turning aside into the fields or drinking the wells of this world, Father, to guard our focus as we navigate through Edom, the ways of sin, and through Moab, the false understanding of fathers, to keep us, the divided rock, Father, going through this barren wasteland. I ask that you protect us, especially from the land of Sion, the king of the Amorites, with self-possession, vain talking that seeks to sweep us away from your path. where the fields on either side appear lush and inviting. However, Father, strengthen our resolve to remain in the narrow way that leads to life. And kindle within us the burning coals of fire, the lamps that move among the living creatures, this internal spirit of animation where it energizes the four standards and replace the external regulations within the eternal transformation, writing upon our hearts the laws rather than writing them on stone. I ask, Father, to purify us within the path without consuming us, Father. Consume what is impure while preserving what is essential. We seek Jehovah. Above the firmament who appear like the burnt amber and the brightness around and about. So we acknowledge, Father, that our spiritual captivity, as you remain sovereign, your throne unshaken, your purpose unhindered. And like the wheels that's full of eyes, you see all from every angle. Your perfect perception. And though we dwell in captivity, but Father, we are not abandoned by you. And though all Jerusalem lay ruined, your presence remains mobile, moving with us in exile. So Father, we are committed to developing those four standards that you had laid clear in your scriptures, that we can be these living creatures who bear your presence on earth, the face of man, the heart of a lion, the strength of an ox, the vision of the eagle, to where we can become the chariots of your glory, mobile tabernacle of your presence, carrying the Father, word, Father, within us. And wherever the Spirit directs us, that we will always be on the King's highway. And I pray this, Father. I pray that you keep us in all things and keep us on this King's highway until we come to this end. This I pray in the name of Jehovah, and Jehovah I pray. Amen. And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel, and also going into the house of Jehovah. And we have a few announcements before we get started, but one, I want to make sure of a few things that's been going out, and we're going to make sure we're clear. That one, we have, even this past week, we have people where they ask questions where it'll pertain to things that's not a Bible, where they get elsewhere. And one thing I want to make sure, there's no such thing in Bible or anything understanding about equinox. And equinox come from people who do things that is outside, things that looking at zodiac signs and things of that nature. So make sure when you come over here, we don't seek those kind of questions to where you want us to answer something as if you coming off intelligently with us and you you dabble in another world. You should go back to where you came from and ask them to clarify what you want and not to us. But then also we looking at the same thing, coming this week. Well, we coming in a few times, a few weeks from now. And as my wife and as I, pretty excited about what's going on Passover. The days is being counted down now, where we're going to all meet together. A lot of people are excited. We speaking with a few people who sit there and call me and tell me, they can't wait till that day. One of the biggest things is just this past week, me and my wife had to take care of some business down there in San Diego. And I know she's sitting there like, I can't believe he's going to do it. But I had a joy, and as my wife, we had a joy to sit around and to fellowship for a while with the Moody family. Sister Moody, Sister Ray, Sister Tyrone, and we also had my sister that already been over with us all the time. So we sat there, we enjoyed ourselves, and we communicated for a while, and we sat around and talked. But I found out a couple of secrets about my sister. And her and Sister Ray and my wife, they share some things that kind of alike, but I had a joy with them. And I just want to let them know that I'm always appreciative when I come down there, to where I at least this time got the chance to meet up with them and hang out with them for a little while. And right where we're going to be at is right where this Passover is going to be held. So we're looking forward to it. And for people to come, but I want to make sure I get something real clear and make sure people understand where me personally, I come from. And I want you to understand where I'm coming from. But what we got to remember is all the elders, all the deacons, all the brothers, and all people that's here understand. What we got to remember is this, and we can sit in there, and I'm going to give you guys freely to even post in the comments for a section, but not all these emoji stuff. But the main thing is this. What you got to remember is this one important thing. One, am not a shepherd. There's no shepherds here. It's no shepherds with the house of the lost sheep. It's no shepherds with the house of Jehovah. It's none. Absolutely none. We're feeders and a pastor. That's all. And I want to prove the same thing. So you have a lot of people go around, and we're going to clip this later. I'm going to clip this so people can understand really where we coming from. Because I'm speaking for everybody that's over here. And what we want to make sure we understand is we're warners of what's going on. And you got a lot of people claim to say that they're Hebrew Israelites. And we spoke about that with the Moody's. But I want you to understand exactly what this is about, because that's why I say I'm going to show this, because it comes up quite a bit. But you got to remember one thing. Everybody who sit there running around talking about their Hebrew Israelites is not the truth. It's not the truth. As you see camps, churches, many places going to say they're going to holler Hebrew Israelites. And that's not true. See, because they can't put the first statement, Hebrew, in their title. And I'm going to prove the point. So I want to show you something. And we're gonna get started with this, and then we're going to go into the lesson. But I want you to understand right where I'm coming from. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up this Bible. And I want to make sure everybody understand, and temporarily right now, I'm asking my moderators to put those verses in the chat to where everyone else can make note of this to where they can actually go back and study it themselves. But we're going to start right there in Genesis chapter 12. We're going to look at verse 1. It tells you right here. It says, "And the Lord has said unto Abram." So we know this, the Spirit of God said unto Abram, "Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house," because he was doing something, "unto a land which I should show thee." So we got to remember a couple of things. One, God is a spirit. And Abraham ended up doing this because we see in verse 4, Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. So we understand that. But now I want you to understand something. We're going to drop down here. We're going to look at Judith. We're going to look at chapter 5. I want to show you that. That's why I want you to see it. And we're going to start right there at verse 6. And it's telling you, these people descended of the Chaldeans. I want everybody to clearly understand something. Chaldeans is what they are. Chaldeans is camps. Chaldeans is churches. Chaldeans is these people who don't know what's going on. They're Chaldeans. I'm going to prove the point. You're going to see it here. And it says, "And they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia because they would not follow the gods of their fathers." Meaning when they follow the gods of their fathers, they follow in idols. Idols is wood, steel, gold, men, on whatever they say. Those are shepherds. But we're going to find that out in 1 second. And they're telling you they wouldn't follow the God of their fathers, which was in the land of Chaldea, because they still in the land of Chaldea. Now I want you to understand something. We're going to get something. We're going to get this real clear. So now we see something that happened here. I want to show you this. We're going to look at this because now Abram is still not an Israelite. Abraham is not an Israelite. Watch what they call him. Abram, we're going to look at this in Genesis chapter 14. And you see here, it says, "And there came that one had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew." Why? Because Abram, who became Abraham, was no longer following idols, images, things of that sort. Everybody follow me. He was not following those. So Abram was called a Hebrew because he followed a spirit, not an image. I want to make sure everybody understands where he's coming from. So what do that make us here? What do that make us here? We're going to look at something in John chapter 10, but we're going to pick it up at verse 26. And it tells us over here, we're looking over here, and it tells us, and it says, but ye believe not because ye are not of my sheep. And what we got to remember is what was inside Yahushua, was inside Jesus, was the Spirit, which was the Spirit of God. And said unto you, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. My sheep know my voice, and they follow me. Meaning this, and making sure we're clear. I want to be real clear here. You can't find no shepherd in this world who have sheep, and then he's taking care of sheep for another shepherd, and they is that other shepherd's sheep. That's not the truth. Whoever you under, whoever you follow is a problem. Meaning this is why it's a couple of problems. One, this is the reason why you have to be baptized, because who you baptize to, who you fall subject to, is who you end up going to at the end, if you hold on to the truth. Meaning, if you baptized over here, you end up being baptized to Christ. People can tell you all day, anywhere else, they can tell you today, oh, we're baptizing people to Christ too. Not the truth. The reason it's not the truth, because one, they got to understand things spiritually. But when people go around, what you do, you learn everything carnally. Russia is I forgot whatever they say. Russia is this, America is this, and all these other, China is this, and this is that. And you have to learn this. Why when you over here, I don't get into those kind of conversations, or I don't teach that. Why? Because the Bible is strict, and the Bible is telling you how to get back to the house of God, not telling you China is this, Russia is that, America is this, and I'm your shepherd. That's stupidity on top of stupidity. Meaning this. So what do we do? What do we do? I'm finna show it to you. But this is Hebrew. He who passed over, where we going from worshiping of flesh to where now we done sit there and now we worship in a 100% spirit. Meaning this, I'm not your shepherd. I'm a pastor. I'm a feeder. That's it. And all we ask is this. I'm going to show it to you. We're going to look at 1 Corinthians. I want to show you something. 1 Corinthians, we're going to look at 11:1. And this is clear. And this is what people here do with me. And it says, be ye followers of me. Follow me. Let me feed you. Let me feed you. Even as I also am of Christ. Because I'm following Christ. So I teach you of Christ. That's why he said, I give you pastors according to my heart that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. This is clear. So now I just became a warner for you. So when we do wrong, all I do is warn you. I'm not your shepherd. You got a shepherd who I work for. And it tells you, it says, son of man. Yes. I have made thee a watchman. Oh, okay. You made me a watchman unto Jehovah's service. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, thank you, Lord. Okay. I'm cool with that. Therefore, hear the word in my mouth and give them warning. No problem, Lord. I have no problem doing that. Thank you for the job. Thank you for the job. That's all we are here. Every elder, every deacon, every brother that teaches, we give you warning from him. So I just want to be clear. So what happens to people who sitting there saying they're your shepherd? You want to go where they go. They going to hell. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, but you are following an idol. He's showing himself that he's God, and you are going to go to hell. And rightfully so, you should go. And the last one, I just want you to make sure you remember this, because most people, they're going to say, no, that's not true. But I want you to understand this. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, we're going to say, it says, let no man deceive you by any means. And people sit there, it can't be that many people. Billions and billions of people have been deceived. What's so hard about understanding this? It says, except that day should come, except there be a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, that son of perdition, that man of Satan. And it telling you is who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. No, I'm the shepherd. You guys reverence me. That's stupidity. That is worship, so that he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. This is what they do. So everybody who's baptized under these places, these temples, these men, one place you are going to go, guaranteed. If you stay under that baptism, you are going to bust hell wide open, and you deservingly so should go there. Why? Because your ignorance, your pride got you caught up. That's why you got a lot of people coming over here. But guess what? I'm on Joshua's side on that. I need to know who you. I need to know you. I got to know you. I sit there. And my wife team, Debbie, I don't know you. Yeah, I don't know you. We need to know you. This is why we always offer you can come over there inside the Zoom to where we can know you. Just think you just can't just show up. You got to come here and introduce yourself here. We don't play that game. But besides that, we're going to move forward. I just wanted to get that straight. But that brings me back to where we got to get back on. Ezekiel wills. In among the captives of the rivers of Chebar. And I went through what we had last week. We had a lot of people was feeling down and different things and feeling nervous about a couple of things that was happening. And we understand that. So what I want people to really understand is one thing. Last week, I had to lay groundwork, as I said. We had to lay that groundwork. That groundwork had to be laid. But what I do want you to understand is this. Today, you're going to get clarity. Clarity is going to be given to you. And the reason why we had to do that, so a lot of people got confused on a lot of different things. But I said, if you looked at last week's teaching, I promise you're going to understand this one. Because now you're going to get clarity. But you got to remember, sometimes when we land down foundation, people get caught up in the confusion. But I said, that's why I said, don't worry, because we're going to give you complete understanding. I just had to lay the foundation. So the main thing is this. I need everybody. I need everybody. Not one. I need everybody. Not one. Everybody. If you want to go through this party here, I need you to get rid of your snorkel. I need you to get rid of your breathing apparatuses that's in this world. I need you to toss them. We're going to find out things that you can't find up on this surface. You have to go deep into scriptures and see them spiritually to understand where they're coming from. So what we're going to do, we taking care of that. And we got people sitting there, I'm looking at the thing, I see people, they tossing them. All I see in his eyes, so they tossing them. And that's what we got to do. We got to toss these bad boys. We got to get rid of them. So let's look at something. We're going to get started now. We're going to sit here. We're going to pick it up here. We're going to look at something. In last week, we were speaking about these four beasts that represented this divine spiritual encampment around Jehovah's throne that was mirroring this arrangement of Israel tribes around the tabernacle. So we want to keep this in mind. So we're going to go down again. We're going to look at this here. And we got this here. And it says, ask, so it's comparing, as for the likeness. So it's comparing, it's the likeness of their faces, their appearances. They had four faces of a man. We talked about that. And then we was tying that to Numbers, chapter 2. So with that, we want to understand what was going on. Had a face of a man, in the face of a lion. And on the right side, they had faces of an ox. And on the left side, they had the face of an eagle. Interesting. And let me put this here. This is highly interesting. So what we want to do is get this understanding there. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. Two wings, everyone were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. So we're pretty clear here. So we understand more so now what's going on. So now we clearly understand what's happening here. But we're going to get these understandings. That's the purpose. We're going to get understandings. These four faces, I want you to keep these down. And as I spoke to Sister Moody, Kenita Moody, I told her instruction, I told her what to do on this. And I'm going to ask you guys to do the same thing. I'm going to be fair about it. Most people take notes. I want you to do one thing. I want you to take the pages. I want you to put the face. I want you to put man on one page. I want you to put lion on another page. I want you to put ox on one page. I want you to put the eagle on another page. Because we're going to be going back and forth. We're going to get understanding. But this corresponds with the four standards. Position around the tabernacle. Each face symbolizes a spiritual attribute that every follower of Christ, not saying should, every follower of Christ must embody to fulfill their purpose on the King's highway. I want to make sure everybody understood what I just said. And I need an eye to make sure you understood what I just said, because it's going to get very important. It's going to get real hairy if you don't get this. Every face symbolizes a spiritual attribute that each follower of Christ must, not should, must embody there to fulfill their purpose on the King's highway. The tabernacle on the earth functions in a similitude of Yahweh's heavenly throne. So with the living creatures, these beings, is spiritual equivalent on what we're going to be looking at. This is why I'm really trying to take my time to make sure nobody get lost. So this spiritual encampment, it establishes this protective boundary around the place of Jehovah's presence. It's demonstrating that the spiritual positioning is essential for both protection and function. So when we're looking at these tribes was positioned specifically around the tabernacle, where each banner, understand what I'm saying? Each banner, every ensign, so each one that this ensign had, this banner, this standard is appointed place. Understand what I'm saying? So too must the spiritual standard be maintained in proper order within the life of each believer. The encampment pattern reveals that spiritual authority that flows from the center of the throne outward. Each standard was specific position, the function that cannot be altered without compromising the integrity of the whole arrangement. So what we're looking at is this. So this occupying, this relationship between the standards, the tabernacle, it illustrates the balance between accessibility to spiritually divine presence and to maintain the proper boundaries. So the tribes are positioned closest to the tabernacle, bore the greater responsibility of service. And that's Levi. So just as those who were drawn close to the Father's presence assume greater accountability to maintain their spiritual purity. So when we're looking at this encampment, this arrangement, it teaches us this divine order is not arbitrary, but it's purposeful. So with each position, it's contributing to overall harmony, and then we're looking at the function of Jehovah's household. This is what we got to look at. So with these four faces, collectively, they represent complete nature required to properly serve and represent the Father in all dimensions of his existence. So you got to remember something. Let's look at this. Let's get with this. We're going to go over here. We're going to see these four faces of Revelations. And we'll find this in Revelations chapter 4. Let me get there, 4. And we're going to pick it up at 6. And let's start digging down into this. It says, and before the throne was a sea, was a people of glass and crystal. You see that? Now we're starting to make some understanding. The sea of people like glass unto crystal. We should have caught that last week. And it says unto crystal, in the midst of the throne, round about the throne were 4 beasts. Now do we understand more so what was going on in Exodus? At the bottom of his feet, you have to remember the rest. You have to remember what was going on. This is why it's so important to make sure we get what's going on. And we have to remember all what happened, all what went on, and all what we need to do. And it tells us, when Moses went up, Nadab, Abihu, 70 of the elders, they saw the God of Israel, and under his feet was a paved work, sapphire stone, as it was a body of heaven in its clearness. We should have caught that. So I'm just showing you how this is playing out. Now with this, it's telling you, and round and about the throne was 4 beasts, full of eyes, full of understandings, before and behind. Before and behind. The first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, which was the ox, and the third beast was the face of a man. And the fourth beast was a flying eagle. We're going to get all understanding on this, so don't worry about it now. We got all the foundation taken care of. So to mirror this standard around the tabernacle, spiritually and divine, consistently with the earthly and heavenly patterns. The first beast like a lion, as we said. The second, the calf, the ox. The third, face of a man. The fourth, like an eagle. These standards remain significant in the heavenly order. So the heavenly tabernacle reflects the earthly arrangement of Israel, demonstrating the pattern established in the laws of Moses. So throughout all the spiritual dimensions, the positioning of these living creatures in the midst of the throne, round and about the throne, reveals this intimate connection to the spiritually divine authority while maintaining proper boundaries. So we have to position that reflects the delicate balance that's between the excessive and the reverence, showing closeness to Jehovah's presence, but it requires both the intimate communion and respectful distance. So with this, what I'm even saying, it kind of puzzling position, but it illustrates the nature of proper relationship with the Father. That's all I'm doing. So what we're doing is this: when you have that proper relationship, it being both sons and servants simultaneously. So we have to look deeper into the 4 faces visibly. In every angle, we have to see this. It demonstrates spiritually how this nature manifests completely, regardless of perspective you look at it from, and no partial, no incomplete presentation or base vantage point. So this connection between the heavenly creature and the earthly standards, Israel, confirms that spiritual patterns transcend boundaries, maintain consistent throughout all ages. So rather than representing different methods, we have to see that these standards reveal an unchanging nature of a spiritual function across all time. So when we're looking at these 4 beasts' appearance in the heavenly throne, room shows where the standards are not just temporal regulations, but eternal principles that govern relationships with Jehovah in every realm and age. So there's association with the living creature where the standards demonstrate the spiritual life, not some like a religious formalism on what they do, but it's proper represents the Father's nature in its intent. So to get a better understanding on this, we're going to be going through some exercises to make sure we get this and understand it. Meaning, we got to understand the tabernacle as a throne, the earthly and the heavenly parallels that ties to it. So this is what I'm saying as a whole. When we're looking at this, the first tabernacle on earth functioned as a similitude of Yahweh's throne. So with the living creatures being its spiritual equivalent, it parallels between earthly and heavenly structures. And this reveals how Yahweh and how he sends his word Jehovah to establish the patterns to operate consistently across all spiritual dimensions. So the 4 standards around the tabernacle mirrors 4 beasts around the throne, which he had to use the similitude to where we can understand these parallels. So to understand these, we got to look at something. It corresponds between these earthly and heavenly thrones. Why is is he did this because he said this, and we have to look at what most people call like metaphors. But let's look at something. And Paul spoke about this before. When we're looking at this in Romans chapter 1, verse 20, it says, "For the invisible things of him from creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse." You remember he said this. It's pretty direct. So to be clearly seen, being understood, this the precise measurement, the materials, the arrangements, the tabernacle that corresponds exactly with heavenly patterns, fulfilling Jehovah's instruction, even as Moses said. We got to see this. Let me put a couple of things up to where we can keep this going, to where we can understand all what I'm saying. In Hebrews chapter 8, but we're going to pick it up at verse 5. And it says, "Who serve unto the example in shadow of heavenly things," comparing Moses, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle. "For see, saith he, that thou makest all things according to the pattern showeth to thee in the mount." The exact correspondence reveals the spiritual understanding. It requires meticulous attention to Scripture. This is why I tell you, make sure you understand what you're reading. And then same thing when I ask people, when I say, do you understand what I'm saying? We got a lot of people, yeah, and you didn't understand it. He's telling you that. This is why people get admonished for that. Because if you didn't understand something, then you say you understood it. Why? Because pride was there. But these are exact, corresponding, and it reveals the understanding. Because when Scripture details rather than literal or carnal approximate similarities in Scripture, each element of the tabernacle conveys specific aspects of heavenly realities. So to these four standards, similarly represents precise spiritual qualities. The general carnal attributes requiring careful study and application rather than broad approximation. Follow me. So the designation of the tabernacle or the shadow of heavenly things that we see right there in Hebrews chapter 8, verse 5, it reveals that physical manifestation of spiritual realities, while accurate, remain incomplete representation rather than perfect duplicates. Meaning this. I want to show you something. We're going to look at something in Romans 12:1. I want to go there for a minute, but I want to also put up one more. Actually, I'm going to go here. I'm going to put this one up. We're going to also put up 1 Corinthians. And I want to run those 3 and 16. And I want this there for a reason. Because we see in Romans 12:1, it tells us something. It says, "I beseech thee, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service." The reason why we have to look at that, and we got to understand something that ties you right to 1 Corinthians 3:16. You know ye not, brother, that ye are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. And then the question is asked, why is this being done like that? Because the four standards operate according to the same principle, manifesting spiritual qualities that's through living vessels without diminishing either dimension, but this integration of this physical and spiritual, this reality in the tabernacle that's thrown, it corresponds and establishes the pattern for proper understanding of the four beasts. Technically all I'm saying. Meaning this. When you get this, we can understand the proper understanding of the four beasts, which represents the four attributes that's expressed, that's tangible qualities rather than abstract concepts that separate this practical application that most people try to use. These are blessings that comes from Jacob. Everybody follow me. I want to make sure we all understanding this here. Because when we're looking at Jacob, we got to look at Jacob perspective. I want to show you something. We're gonna roll down some here. And we're going to see something here. In Genesis chapter 49, but we're going to pick it up at verse 8. We're going to start there, but we're going to still be jumping back up high. And it says, Judah, thou art Judah, praise, art, A-R-T, and there you know that perfection and beauty. He whom thy brother shall praise, thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies, thy father's children shall bow before thee. We see this here. We see this here. It's clear. But we can see when we're looking at all this here, let's look at something in verse 4. He spoke about Reuben. And we want to understand something with Reuben. See, it tells us right here in Reuben, started 3, it says, Reuben, thou thy firstborn, perfection and beauty, you my firstborn. My might and my beginning of my strength, keep that in mind. Strength and excellency of dignity, keep that in mind. Also, so excellency in power, of power. All those attributes supposed to be there. But you see in verse 4, it says, unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou went up to thy father's bed and defilest thou it, and went up to my couch. What we're going to do is now understand this spiritually. Well, what was he actually saying? What we got to remember is this, that he went up to his father's bed and defilest thou it. And he was displaying this spiritual pride, as Lucifer said. The serious same thing as you see here. We'll find this out in Isaiah chapter 14, but we're going to pick this up at 13:14. Because it says, thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also on the mount of the congregation on the sides of the north. This is what Reuben was doing. Because despite that, the fallen nature of Reuben, the tribe, it still connects to this man. Represented, he has the capacity when properly submitted rather than rebelliously exalting himself. Because it's properly excellency and dignity, excellency and power. But you can see when you're looking at the man. But then we get to Joseph. We also look at that. We want to look at certain things and we want to understand this. So you need to understand all this there. All this there, because Dan was supposed to teach, but we want to see Joseph, which tells you right there, Joseph was a fruitful broth. Was fruitful. It was a fruitful broth. I'm telling you right here, clear. The reason that's there, it connects you to the ox. He's a fruitful broth. This ox, this standard is increasing productivity. So when we're looking at this prophetic attribute given to the tribes, formed this spiritual token where later manifests to a standard of the tribes. Judah, the lion. Remember we went through this. Judah, the lion. Dan was the judge for the vision. And you had Reuben, the man. You had Ephraim, the ox. You remember all this. So the timing of these blessings was given when Joseph was approaching death to reveal the spiritual standards that are transmitted intergenerationally. Why did he have to do it intergenerationally rather than reinvent it for each generation? Intergenerationally, meaning it's never stopped. It's going to keep continually going. Everybody follow me. It's going to continually move. It's going to continually move. Intergenerationally, it's continually moving. It's not stopping. It's going to always be connected. Even though you got some generations it's going to jump over because they're not going to do it. Everybody follow me. So this transmit intergenerationally rather than reinvented by each generation. So Jacob's prophetic utterance drew from his lifetime of spiritual development in Revelation, and it's installing essential qualities that would define tribal identity and function. So this pattern teaches that this spiritual heritage builds upon preceding revelations rather than replacing it. So each generation adding to rather than discarding the wisdom of their forefathers. So with this capacity to receive and transmit these standards depends on Jacob's reconciliation with Jehovah. That's what it was always tying to. That's why he said, if I come back to my father's house in peace. That's why all these things were being said. Because after Jehovah, this transformative encounter on Peniel is demonstrating the proper transmission requires personal transformation. Not personal transformation for one people, but it's for all of us. So when we're looking at this distribution rather than attributes among the different tribes we know is trials. We know tribes are trials. Rather than centralizing them in a single tribe reveals divine wisdom in creating interdependence within the body of followers. Meaning this more so. Not one single tribe, no single trial possess all four standards in their fullness. Everybody follow me? Not one single tribe. So not one single trial possess all four standards in their fullness. It requires a corporation with mutual submission to complete the manifestation of Jehovah's nature among them. It has to. So this deliberate distribution, it prevents tribal isolation in pride. So establishing that spiritual completeness is emerges from the unity rather than interdependence. The standard themselves draw from the natural world. So, and those standards come from the natural world, as I said. It comes from what? The man, the lion, the ox, and the eagle. So it demonstrates how creation itself testifies of divine attributes where each creature is embodying specific aspects, spiritual function that when they're combined, they reflect this multifaceted nature of the Father. This is key. Everybody okay? Is everybody doing okay? Because we're getting ready to go deeper. Is everybody okay? Let's go deeper. We have to look at the will within the will. The will within the will. We have to look at this. Many people heard about the will within the will. It reveals the pattern of spiritual, divine indwelling. Spiritual and divine indwelling. So I'm going to have to take this another way. I'm going to have to take it another way because I got to make sure my people understand where we're coming from. Because we shouldn't have these no's. So we got a lot of no's. So I need my people to understand where I'm coming from and what these scriptures say. So let's take our time as we go through this. We're going to look at the will within the will. The will within the will. It reveals a pattern. I want you to think about this. It reveals a pattern. In spiritually divine, this indwelling, it flows from the Father in his purpose and from his people. So as is stated within a few places, I'm going to show you these to where we can understand it because I'm going to take it another way. I don't have a problem going another way because we have to. We have to. So I want to show you something. We're going to look at something. And let me sit there and see. There we go. So we're going to look at something. I'm going to put up a couple of verses. Because we have to pivot. We have to pivot. We have to. And it shows we can't leave nobody behind there. We're going to look at, so we're going to pull up for a couple of verses. We're going to put up Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46 and verse 10. And then we're going to also put in 2 Corinthians. We're going to look at this 5:19. And I want one more. We want 1 John. And I'm going to actually end up putting one more there because I see another one I need to put there. We're going to look at 1 John 4 and 12. And I want to make sure we have to pivot. No matter what, we got to pivot. So what we got to look at is this. And it tells us right here. It says, their wings were joined one to another. One turned not when they went every one straight forward. We want to take the time and want to understand what that is saying. So as this wing, so when these wheels was moving without turning, it demonstrates that spiritually, the spiritually divine purpose, it advances without deviation. So the wheel can go any direction and it advances without deviation, meaning this that we see. This is why I had to pivot. And we're going to see this here. And no matter which way you have to pivot in life, as long as you following Christ, you pivot, you still going to advance, even though it's going straight forward. But you're going to be sitting there, why are we turning this way? Why are we turning that way? Why we got to turn this? Why we got to go around the corner? No matter what, you still moving straight forward. Everybody follow me. No matter what, we still moving straight forward. Everybody follow that. I just want to make sure everybody get it because it's telling us exactly what's going to happen. Everybody said, okay, so I'm on the right path. I just want to be on the right path. So no matter what, if you got to turn to the left corner or the right corner or go another way, long as we are following Christ, we are still going straight forward. Now let's look at something. Isaiah chapter 46, looking at verse 9, it says, declaring the end from the beginning, from the ancient times, in the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand. So his counsel going to always stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Key. So he's going to fulfill his purpose and advance without deviation, no matter what. Without deviation, he's going to advance this, and it's fulfilling this because the Father has already declared this. He's going to do all his pleasure. So when we're looking at this end thing, we got to watch how beautiful this is. Watch how beautiful this is. We got to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19, chapter 5, verse 19. Write it down. Understand how what's getting ready to happen. It says, to wit, that God was in Christ. God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespasses unto them, and have committed unto us the word of reconciliation. Beautiful. Watch what happens. We're going to look at this in 1 John chapter 4, verse 12. It says, no man has seen God at any time. It's like the wind. If we love, we promise one another, God dwelleth in. Did he say he dwelleth with us, or he's saying in us? I want everybody to put that in there. Is he dwelling with us, or is God dwelling in us? In us, or is he dwelling with us? You see what he's saying right here. Thank you. He's dwelling in us. We're going to get a little closer now. He's dwelling in us, and his love, so his promise is perfected in us. Key. Let's look at something. So we got to follow this all the way through. We're going to put this up, and I want to put this in there because y'all get it. So we're going to move a little bit further. Let's go to Galatians. We're going to pick it up at chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 20. So now we're going to start getting a little bit of things in us. It says, so I am. So now the people, especially the ones who are baptized, we got to understand something. Now we got to do something. He says, I am crucified with Christ. So what you looking at, everybody got to look at, now we're crucified with Christ in this world. Everybody follow me. So now we're being crucified in Christ, even in this world. Everybody, if you get it, And if you don't. So now in this world, you're going to be crucified with Christ. Why? Because they hate Christ. And if they hate Christ, you know they hate you. Why? Because he dwelleth in us. Yeah, okay. I told you, y'all understand more than what's saying, but we just have to go enough. We go around the corner. I don't mind going around the corner. So now we get it. So now we know I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. No matter what, don't turn the course. Follow God. No matter what, follow God. If I bring to you another doctrine, you better follow God. Period. Yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Why? Because he's in you. In life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith of the Son of God, of the servant of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Told you y'all understand more of what I'm saying. Y'all understand more of what I'm saying. So it makes his solid, unbreakable nature of this will. We're the outside of the wheel. We're the outside. And tell me this. Do your tires wear out? I know mine do. Do my tires wear out? Yeah, I know mine do. I know yours probably do too. So we have to look at this will reveal this multidimensional operation of this spiritual divine will and purpose on what he's looking for. Meaning this. So this inner will inside this will within the will, this inner will, now it represents this unmutable spiritual divine decree. The outer will represents the manifestation. Now I'm going to take the time where we can get this, because I want to make sure everybody get this. The outer will, and actually, we want to tell you what, the best way to do it, make y'all type it in there. Type it in. We got to type it in there. This is the easy way. I'm the outer will. Just say, I am the outer will. I want everybody to type that because this way I know you'll get it, because you have to actually do something. See, when you have to do something and not sitting back eating great, it makes you understand it better. Yeah, that's what I want to see, because now I got to look at my screen. So now, I'm the outer will. Okay, so now we're the outer will. Beautiful. We're the outer will. Now, understand this. Now I want you to put God or Christ is the inner. Put Christ the inner will. Now, as people putting in that, put Christ the inner will. I'm gonna wait till I start seeing it before I move further. Put Christ the inner will. Beautiful. Okay, so we getting that started. Okay, so now, now I'm going to tell you the hook. We got to get the hook. So now we know this. So now we know we're the outer will, Christ the inner will. So now this represents the manifestation, which I want you to see. So the outer will works in time and space, meaning we wear out. We gonna die. We gonna die. That inner will don't die. I know y'all get it. I ain't got to ask you if you got it, because I know you got it. I know you got it, so I ain't got to ask you, because I know you got it. We're the outer will. We're gonna live. We're gonna keep rolling around, and then guess what? We gonna die. Some of us gonna roll around for 20 years, some gonna roll around for 40 years, some gonna roll around for 60 years, some gonna roll around for 80 years, some gonna roll around for 100 years. But guess what? Those wheels gonna wear out. They gonna wear out. And when them wheels wear out, we die. But guess what? If you living in Christ, your will, outside will die, but you don't die, because you in Christ. That's the catch. So The wheel moving in this perfect harmony without this contradiction. It demonstrates how Yahweh, and through the words of Jehovah, will man agency operate simultaneously without conflict when properly aligned with Christ. So this understanding, it refutes any false dichotomies you can look at between Jehovah's sovereignty and human responsibility. Meaning this showing instead of this proper alignment with Jehovah will create this harmonious operation where now we as people, action becomes the vehicle of a spiritual divine purpose rather than this obstacle that's being used. That's the catch. So we got to look at the wheel of movement to do this, because we want to make sure we get solid, because we still have some people might still not quite got it, but we got to make sure people are solid. So the wheel of movement in the four directions without turning. People saying that, what do you say? We got to understand the wheel's movement in four directions without turning. Okay, I'm gonna say it one more time before we got to understand the wheel's movement without the four directions of without turning. Why? I have to do this because we had to pivot some, but we got to understand something. This without turning. This illustrates that Jehovah's purpose is multi-directional, rather yet that this singular intent. You catch it? This illustrates his purpose. His purpose is multi-directional, yet singular in its intent. Saying this, despite the apparent changes in direction, in this underlying purpose remains constant, teaching that Jehovah's method varies in comprehension. It's going to vary in comprehension. This is why I even had to do what I just did, because we have people here at different levels of understanding. And then when I seen a lot of no's, no matter what, they wouldn't understand anything else. I'll continue to move forward based on some of the examples I could have used. They wouldn't have understood it. That don't demean them at any shape or the fashion in any kind of way. What they saying, they don't understand it. So I just had to put them back. Say, okay, come on, let's come on this way. And then you see how they understand and change. It's simple. It's simple. All we got is time. All we got is time. So we have to look at this. But the comprehensions, according to the teacher, while his ultimate goals remain unchanged. So the principle applies to both individuals and collective spiritual development. It's showing the various seasons and experience. So regardless of the apparent diversity, but it serves as a unified divine purpose. The spirit within the will reveals the spirit animation, not this mechanical force that drives progress into a kingdom to the Father, but it's establishing leadership through the internal guidance over external regulations. That's all we were doing. So we have to look at this. We have to look at this even better, where we're looking at the will within the will. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's look at this in Ezekiel 1:16. Pull this a little bit more. And I'm going to grab this one. If it highlights, there we go. And we want to just understand something. And I want to still use this, and we're going to use Galatians 5:19, but we're going to go down to 16 on Ezekiel. But it says, the appearance of the wheel in their works was like unto the color of beryl, so we know it's clear. And the four had one likeness. So now we know in the four had one likeness. In that one likeness, we better have those four. We're going to get into that. We got to get into that. But it's saying they had that one likeness in their appearance. As I was saying, they have four faces. Their appearance was their work. Was comparing it were a wheel. Everybody catching what he's saying? You seeing how he's saying this? Let's take our time and look at it. So they four. So we know these four faces: the man, the lion, the ox, and the eagle. Everybody follow me. It was they had this, but still this one likeness. They still had this one purpose. They still going this one way. They still driving this one direction. Everybody who understands me, just be putting an I in there, because I'm going to keep talking, but just put that I in there. If I see an end, catch it, I might pivot again. I have to, because if I don't catch it. But the main thing is, it's saying in their appearances, their appearance were their work, in their work, meaning you have to be that ox. You have to be the ox. You have to be putting in work, as they say, be in that gym. And was as they were a will. So as we let the inside of us drive, and we're the outside, it's the wheel in the middle of a wheel. Now we get it. So the same analogy in 2 Corinthians 5:19. To wit, God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself. We catch that. We look at Galatians 2:20. Let's look at that again. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Why? Because as God was in Christ, Christ is in us. We get it. But they all inside. They all inside. We on the outside. We flesh. We're going to get old. We're going to die. We're going to perish. So then we can commit our spirit unto God. Same as Yahweh did. God, I commit my spirit. We want to be able to do that. Same thing, you see this over here let's look at something. I want to show you something. How this all works. In John, we're going to look at 14:10. We want to see something. It says, believest thou not that I am in the Father and the Father in me? Believe it not that I'm the will and it's a will inside my will? Everybody catch that? Did anybody catch how he was running this? I am in the Father in me. The words that I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, the will that's in my will. It's a will within the will. He been talking this way all the time. All the time he's been talking this way. All the time. This will within this will. This interconnected will, this move in perfection, this synchronization with these living creatures, illustrating how Jehovah's purpose is manifest through yielded vessels. So we have to be these yielded vessels without overriding their distinctive nature. You have to do this. So the spirit within God is our outer vessels. It grabs, See, so I like Pirellis, but I know they short-term lives. I need to put on some long season ones. I want to live as long as I can, but it's the will inside that's driving my wheels. Just as the inner wheels direct the movement of the outer wheels, so this secret mystery of Jehovah is operating within his servants. That's supposed to be each and every one of us who is baptized unto Christ. Not the ones just sitting there listening. The ones that is baptized unto Christ, because he's in you. Can't nobody say, and this is a thing I hate to say, but I got to say it. Anybody sitting there that is not baptized unto Christ, you don't have Christ in you. The same as Yahushua, the same as Jesus. The only time he came in, actually, I'm going to show it to you real quick. I'm going to pivot for 1 second again, because I just want you to understand it. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 3. We'll pick it up at verse 14. And you see, it says, because he had to condemn the body. And it says in Matthew chapter 3, verse 13, it says, then cometh Jesus, the Yahushua, from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized. He had to be condemned of him. But John forbade, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee. I have need to be condemned of thee. Thou hast come to me. Yahushua, or Jesus answered and said unto him, suffer it be so now. Mind you, he still don't have the Spirit. At this same identical time, I want you to understand something. This same identical time, Jesus did not have that spirit at this time. I don't care how you flip it, how you say it, how you do it. Watch what he says. It becomes to fulfill all righteousness. Then suffered him. And Jesus was baptized and went straight away out of the water. When you come out the water, and everybody here knows what happened when you come out the water, somebody's going to meet you. Somebody is going to meet you. You don't get up and walk off. Somebody is going to meet you. And it's not me. It's not me. Somebody's going to meet you, but it ain't me. And lo, the heaven were open, and I saw the Spirit of God. This the only way you going to get it. Did Jesus have it until then? No. So don't you think you better than him? Because you got a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll tell you what, I had a spirit. Keep thinking you do. Please keep thinking you do. Because you don't. But please keep thinking you do. And descending like a dove and lighting upon him. This is clear. This is clear. So we got to look at this will, this movement. The will, they move in concert, like living creatures, illustrated this divine purpose. And what we got to do, we got to look at this mystery. So unlike this mechanical model of the spirit and man's interaction, where man's agency just execute predetermine Jehovah's action. So the will creatures relationship demonstrates this dynamic partnership that really preserves both Jehovah directions and man participation. You follow me? And this is what we need. That's the whole thing. That's what we have to remember. We have to remember a lot of things to where we come to that. We have to really get to where we understand things. I need you to follow that. Let's look at something. We're going to go a little bit deeper. And we're going to look at this again. 18. Let's go down to Ezekiel 1:18. Let's get this. And we're going to get some better understanding. It says, so we know this is a comparison. So for their rings, so this comparison of their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. And their rings were full of eyes. So we know eyes is understanding. So there was full understanding around about them those four creatures. See, this reveals Jehovah's purpose to operate on this scale that transcends human comprehension. While looking at this, nevertheless, we can see that human participation is still there. But the problem is people can go into this self-contradictory relationship, challenges both the error in reducing Jehovah's purpose to human scale. Just thinking, I just got it. I got it. I know I got it. No, that's a lie. So this area of moving this human agency from Jehovah's operation. So this proper integration of the four standards enable followers of Christ to participate in the purpose. This larger than their understanding of maintaining proper humility while we go out in the role within the purpose. So this dreadful height of the will, it establishes that this arrangement with Jehovah's purpose, it produces, this reverence rather than this familiarity. This having this familiarity of preserving this transcendent that the Father, even in the midst of this intimate partnership with his people. So when you're looking at this ring within the ring, when we're looking at 18, The eyes full around. It demonstrates how Jehovah progress includes comprehensive awareness that prevents both the blind advancement and stagnant caution, meaning that this unlike human, this progress, it often sacrifices awareness for speed, vice versa. The God progress while maintaining perfect balance between this momentum of this perception. As we continually move forward, the four standards, it operates. The principles, contributing, essential awareness, the ego. And you want to understand this. I will need you to write this down. Make sure you make a note of this as y'all making notes. The ego. The standards is perceiving spiritual significance. We're going to go deeper with this. But I'm just giving you the thing. That's why I asked you to separate those pages. The ego is perceiving the spiritual significance. The lion. The lion standards is discerning opposition. Understand? I just need you to put that there because you have 1 4 pages. If not, you're going to get it mixed up. In the ox. The ox standard is reorganizing practical requirements. But we're going to go deeper into this. The man standard, understanding proper process. So without all four standards operating in harmony, progress becomes either reckless blind, you're going to become reckless blind, recklessly being blind, or paralyzed by incomplete perception, preventing the balance, the advancement represented by the wheels moving in concert with the living creatures. So, how does this work out? We're going to get it. We want to get this. Each follower of Christ, I want to make sure you understand this. Each follower of Christ, baptized to Christ, while in the wilderness, while you are in this world, and it manifests the four standards that are represented by the four faces of the beast. I just gave you an outline of this. So the man, go back to that page. I'm going to give you a chance to get back to that page. The man represents our humanity, our reasoning capacity. I'm going to say that again. Man, M-A-N, so that's male or female. It represents our humanity, our reasoning capacity. The lion, we need that. The lion, it represents our heart, our courage, our spiritual strength. Understand what that does? That lion, we got to have that heart. It represents that heart, the courage, the spiritual strength we have to have. The ox, it represents our work ethics. I'm going to say that again. The ox, it represents our work ethics, our capacity for service. We got to put in work when we in that field. That ox is out there putting in work. And then we have that eagle. That eagle represents our vision, our spiritual discernment. These attributes are not just symbolic, but they represent the functional spiritual requirements for those traveling on the King's highway. And without these four attributes operating in harmony, one cannot properly navigate the narrow path that leads to this world that we're trying to get to in the kingdom of God. It's clear. So the integration of these four standards produces spiritual completeness rather than this compartmentalizing on what is taught in churches and camp buildings and people all over YouTube teach this craziness. The man standard must inform by the ego's vision. You follow me? It has to work in harmony. So the man standard must inform by the ego's vision. But it's empowered by the lion's courage. And is implemented by the ox service. Did you get it? Did you catch that? Did you understand how these work in harmony? With our standards of reasoning, it came from the eagle's vision. And then we was doing it through, and we was empowered by the lion's courage and implemented through the service of the ox. Did you get it? So all function in unified whole rather than isolated qualities. So this integration, it prevents spiritual imbalance where such courage without vision will go recklessly. So the vision without service, impractical, idolize them. Service without courage, fearful compliance. Our human reasoning, divorced from spiritual principles, worldly wisdom. The four standards together create the balance of spiritual character capable of fulfilling the Father's purpose. I don't care what context you go into at that point then. These standards, it corresponds with the functional operation within the spiritual economy, rather than just like the personality traits or preferences. So when we're looking at the man standards, I told you we're going to be getting deep into this. The man standards is govern proper understanding and applications of Jehovah's word. You catch that? The lion, when we're looking at the lion stage, his standards, it enables bold proclamations in defense of truth. That's what I was talking about. I was loving with Sister Moody now. Bold, be bold as a lion. Be bold. The ox. See, the ox standard ensures diligent implementation of manifestations. So then, while this eagle, the standard provides the prophetic insight on spiritual direction. When we're looking at this, it's quadruple. You got a quadruple. Yeah, that's a word. Because I already know I hear, Elder John, you know, you kind of made that word up. No, I believe that's a word. I know that's a word. This quadruple function ensures that revelation is properly received, defined, implemented, and directed, and created a complete circle of spiritual operation while maintaining the integrity of divine truth from the reception to manifestation. And then we have the absence of any standard that creates vulnerability in the corresponding spiritual function. Thank you. Yeah, that is a word. Told y'all, I knew that was a word. That's a real word. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. So, when we look at this, the complete spiritual man, we have the integration of four standards. The integration of four standards. We're going to be dealing with that because the ultimate purpose of the four standards, it produces complete spiritual individual who embodies all necessary attributes for fulfilling Jehovah's purpose. This is why I'm harping on so much on this, to where everybody completely understand, comprehend everything that's being said from here out. Why? Because we have to. So just as the living creatures, they process the four faces simultaneously, followers of the Father must develop, integrate these four standards. You got to have the reasoning of a man. You got to have the courage of a lion. You got to have the service and orientation of the ox. You got to have the vision of the eagle. And only through this complete development, one can properly navigate the King's highway and fulfill the divine purpose on this earth. Everybody follow me. This is why I'm harping on it so badly. This is why I'm sitting there like he's on one on this one. Yeah, I have to be. I have to be. I have to be. Because with this simultaneous, this possession of the four faces, each living creature demonstrates that spiritual completeness requires integration rather than specialization. Rather than specialization in one. We got to have them all. So while the human system, while it encourages an individual to develop a particular strength, we can't do that because it's tolerating corresponding weaknesses. Everybody follow me? We can't do that. But we know our flesh going to always encourage us to develop one particular strength. And then we'll be tolerating corresponding weaknesses, and we can't afford it. So when we're looking at this spiritual divine pattern, it requires comprehensive development that leaves no area undeveloped. So with this complete integration, it completes, it prevents this where in their world has this religious error where it's emphasizing certain spiritual qualities while neglecting others, such as prioritizing knowledge of man. You see what I'm saying? See, you go in places, they sit there and they're going to prioritize the knowledge of man without application of the ox. Tell me they don't do it. Tell me they don't do it and I'll show you a liar. They're going to always prioritize the knowledge of man without application of the ox. They're going to always show you the courage of a lion without discernment of the eagle. Tell me they don't do it. They're going to always the service of an ox without the understanding of the man, or the vision of the eagle without the implementation of the ox. So these possessions, all of the four faces by each creature establishes the spiritual maturity that involves balance, development, rather than disappropriated emphasis on the preferred attribute that one person seeks. Everybody follow me? I know some people, I have to harp on this. I have to. Well, we could have went another way, but I'm going to tell you what. Do you know, before I even go down further, I'd rather see a bunch of eyes, because I'm looking up there now, I'd rather see a bunch of eyes than a bunch of ends that people don't know. I'd rather see a bunch of eyes, true eyes that really know, that don't. So this arrangement of the faces, the living creatures facing different directions yet belonging to the same being, reveals that spiritual completeness manifests differently according to the context while maintaining essential unity. This adaptability without compromise enables true believers to express different aspects of spiritual character without the circumstancing, without the sacrificing integrity or consistency. Beautiful thing. So the man aspect not predominant in teaching. The lion in confrontational situations. Or the ox in service requirement. Yet the eagle, prophetic moments, yet all maintain and integrate regardless, which most visibly manifests at a given moment. So this adaptation, this we look at without fundamental alteration, demonstrate the flexibility of mature spiritual character, which responds properly to each situation without losing the essential identity. The integration of all four standards has to be there. Has to be there. Which responds approximately to each situation without losing that identity. The responsiveness, when we're looking at this, it remains true to the divine nature while effectively engaging in diverse circumstances. Beautiful thing once we understand it. Once we understand it, we got to be a certain way. So the same thing is like, well, my deacon checked it. He knew it. So when we're looking at this quadro reality we can look at, this is when we're looking at this divine reality, properly having four sides, comprehensive spiritual framework. The four standards collectively establishes the comprehensive spiritual framework that encompasses all dimensions of relationship with Jehovah. So the man, keep this in mind, the man governs intellect, this intellectual and perception of understanding. Turn the page, go to the lion. Because the lion standards governs the strength and courage for spiritual warfare. Oh, spiritual, I know spiritual warfare is in the Bible. But you got to have that there. And then you have the ox, the standard that governs the service of productivity in the kingdom's work. Not laying back eating grapes. You have the eagle standard that govern the prophetic insight, wow, spiritual vision. So together these four standards address every aspect of spiritual development in the function in creating this complete system for both the individual maturity and the collective ministry. People sitting there like, man, this is tough. Yeah, it's tough. When we're looking at this quadro reality, this transcends the limitation of binary thinking. It transcends that. That's always often characterized with a religious approach, which is crazy. It's full crazy. So where you're looking at these spiritual qualities as reduced to opposing pairs. I'm telling you, okay. What they do in the religious world, in the Christian world, they reduce these qualities to opposing pairs. Love versus truth. Justice versus mercy. Faith versus works. Tell me they don't do it, because I can show it to you all day. I can show you in their teachings they do it all day. These four standards establish more comprehensive framework that incorporates seems opposite in a unified system, demonstrating that the apparent contradictions in spiritual qualities will result from incomplete development rather than inherent incompatibility, because you got the man and the ego standards may appear contradictory. It's going to appear contradictory to them. But it emphasizes the human understanding versus Jehovah's revelation, just as the ox in the lion. Their standard may seem opposite, but the focus of confrontation versus service, while yet living creatures demonstrate all four operate in perfect harmony when properly integrated, revealing the spiritual completeness that resolves apparent tension between the qualities that seem incompatible when viewed in isolation. So the arrangement of these standards, both in living creatures and in these things, we understand it. We understand this now a little bit better. One second. We can get this way better now. We can understand this a lot better. So we only remember this. This arrangement, creatures, it encompasses. This order requires both distinction and integration. Each standard maintains this quality. How diverse gifts and callings can operate in a perfect coordination without being dissolved into uniformity. Four standards establishes not just individual qualities, but a comprehensive relationship. So when we're looking at the same thing, is we need to look at something else. The integration even of the four Gospels. The four Gospels. When we're looking at the integration of the four Gospels, we know in the New Testament. We'll put them up. Let me put them up here. And where we can understand what we're talking about. The four Gospels. And we're going to get an understanding on these. This will help you out a lot. So we want to understand this. So when we're looking at these four Gospels, these four, showing you right here, and we want to write these down. Again, we got to put in, over here we put in work. So when the correspondence between the four faces in the four Gospels, this demonstrates that complete understanding of Christ's nature, which most people never heard this before. They never showed it before. Never spoke about it before. But the ministry requires integration of our lives. These four perspectives rather than exclusive force or this exclusive focus on the singular aspect. So just as each living creature possesses all four faces simultaneously, properly perceptual understanding recognizes that Christ in Jesus, that man, simultaneously made him king or lion. Think about it. And he had service. He was the ox. The perfect man. He was a divine servant, this son, this ego, without diminishing any aspect of his complex nature when he took on the Spirit of Christ. How did this work out? We're gonna get to that. This integration, this perspective, it prevents the common perceptual errors that emerges from this overemphasizing on singular aspects of Christ's nature. So when we focus in on exclusively on the line, the standards that produces this authoritarian religion, which Christian churches do, camps do, and other people do, that's all over the place. It emphasizing the power without service, focusing exclusively on the ox standard that produces based on religion that emphasizes service without spiritual vision. Focusing exclusively on the man standard produces humanistic religions that emphasizes this ethical behavior without divine authority. Focusing exclusively on the ego standard produces this mystical religion. That's why you got a lot of people out here believing all kinds of things. This experience without practical application, such as teaching on spaceships. You see that there. And people hold on to these doctrines, and they should rightfully go to hell. Speaking on unknown tongues, this just babble. They have the right to go to hell. Talking about this rapture, this silliness. So the four Gospels corresponding with the four faces collectively provided the complete portrait of Christ's nature in the ministry that prevents these imbalanced perspectives that I'm telling you about. That's why you see over here, we tell you, know who you learn from. And we talk with full understanding. We talk with full understanding here. In the arrangement of these four gospel parallels the arrangement of the four standards around the tabernacle, each providing a specific perspective on the central revelation of the Father's presence of Christ. Just as Israel camped, required all four standards in proper position to create a complete protection around the tabernacle. In the proper perception and understanding requires the four gospel perspective for proper relationship that creates the complete understanding of Christ's nature and purpose that's integrated in the perspective fulfills Paul's prayers and when we were talking about in a belief. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and then we're going to come back to this. I want to show you what I'm talking about, and we're going to come back to this. Let's look at something. We're going to go to Ephesians. I want to look at something. We're going to come right back to that. I want to make sure we come back to that. We're going to look at Ephesians chapter 3. We're going to pick it up at verse 18. And right here. And it says, may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and the length and the depth and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with the fullness of God. You got to make it in. You got to make sure it's in you. You see this? I'm telling you, you're looking right at it. It's right in front of you. May be able to comprehend now all saints in the breadth, the length, the depth, and the height, to know the love, the promise of Christ, which passeth all knowledge, that passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with fullness of God. What is he saying? What I'm going to explain to you. See, the face of a lion, the face of the lion is Matthew. It's here. The face of the lion is here, Matthew. It corresponds with Matthew. Why? Because Matthew primarily portrays salvation through the mouth of Jesus Christ, or Yahushua, the Messiah. Better yet, is salvation of Jehovah. As the king, the ruler of the Jews, the followers of Christ. The fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies concerning this Messiah king. As the lion, traditionally the king of beasts, is faced with, you see, represents the authority, the dominion, and the majesty, the quality that emphasizes Matthew's narrative. You see it here. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. See, Matthew begins with the genealogy. You see it right there. I'm right there on it. It starts with the genealogy, tracing his lifestyle, the lineage through the line of David, his beloved. You see, we run it spiritual. David, his beloved, establishing Israel as his servants. Let's look at this. Did he establish Israel as his servants? Yeah, he did, because we're going to sit there and see it right here. Oh, shoot. Let me get back up to it. We're going to go up here. We're going to go right to the law. We're going to look at it. And we're going to see it right there in 25. We're going to see 25 and 55. And you're going to see, he's going to say it right out of his mouth. He's telling you right out of his own mouth. For unto me, the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants whom I have brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord. You see, it's all capped out. So he's telling, I am the Lord your God. So he's telling, I am the spirit of your God. That's all he's saying. But this shows you, you watch who you learn from. See, the gospel contains numerous references when we're looking at this one, Matthew. Numerous references. The kingdom of heaven, where Yahushua, Jesus, he presented the rightful heir of David's throne. Just as the lion roar commands attention and establishes dominion, Matthew's gospel announces the arrival of the king, who will establish the Father's kingdom on earth. The lion's strength, the courage corresponds with Matthew's, how he portrayed Christ's authoritative teachings through this prophet, particularly in the section, the Sermon on the Mount. He declares, ye have heard that it has been said, and you also know where he even saying in Matthew, but I say unto you, demonstrating his authority to understand and fulfill the laws of Moses. This lion, this lion, you see here in Matthew. The Gospels also manifest the courage in Matthew. In Matthew. The courage that requires the kingdom citizens, because he teaches to enter into this kingdom requires boldness, to stand against opposition, declaring the kingdom of heaven suffereth by violence. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to go up some. We'll see this in Matthew 11 and 11:12, I know. It says, and from the days of John the Baptist, of God has been gracious the Baptist, the condemner, until the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and violence taketh by force. Highly interesting. This corresponds with the lion's nature, the spiritual courage and authority. This lion's heart, his boldness is further emphasized when Yahushua or Jesus, he tells you something that's up front. I'm going to show it to you. He's very upfront about this. And let's see this. This is why that boldness is there. We're going to see this in Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. We don't got to go, because we're going to deal with that one by itself too. 10:34, he tells you, he says, think not that I come to send peace on earth. Think not that I come to send peace on earth. Come not to send peace, but a sword. How many people sit there and they want to always have this comfortable relationship when they talking about God with other people who believe in another God? They believe in another Jesus. But y'all want to have cool, calm, collective conversations about God with them. I want you to put in there. I'm going to make you do it before I go further. You put in there, how many people you know, or do you sit there, always want to have a cool, calm, collective conversation with people and they talking about another God? This is rampant. See, this challenges you lacking the lion, meaning you not fit for the kingdom. You lacking the lion. You have no reason to be here with us. See, this challenges followers of Christ to overcome this timid, to speak truth directly to loved ones, friends, family members, mother, father, brother, husband, sister, child, without fear. And you do this without the fear of being rejected, being removed from events, being removed to where you can't participate in certain phone calls or outings or something, certain things. So what? Then you ain't a lion. So you can take off a face, remove a face if you don't have that. Take a face off. Take a face off. When a lion comes into a new pride and he takes over pride, he kill all the kids. He kill all the babies. He kill all the works that other male produced. He killed every piece of work that male produced. And he started new work. He started new work. And he can care less, and he gonna start a new work in them. He can care less how they feel about it. Them females start hiding them cubs. When that male is taken out, they start hiding them. Why? Why they hide them? Because they know he gonna kill those works. He gonna kill them. And he do it with vengeance. See, there was none to help me, so I did it alone. he ain't playing with nobody. So it tells you, he said, I come not to send peace, but a sword. He come not to play games with nobody. So if you don't have that lion face and you're timid, take that off of that face because you don't have it. See, this close connection between Judah represents this tribe standards, this lineage. It further strengthens the association. With Matthew particularly, he emphasizes the lion, the tribe of Judah, fulfilling Jacob's complete prophecy. So as it tells us, actually, let me go there. I'm gonna roll just on this because we're talking about this, and we're gonna go on this one. We're gonna see this in Genesis chapter 49. We're gonna look at something. 9 and 10. It says, Judah is a lion's whip. From the prey, my son, thou art going up, in your perfection and beauty, going up, and you stoop down and crouch as a lion. And as an old lion, full of thought. How many of you guys don't have, and you're crouching as an old lion? When Yahweh was 12, he was in there putting in work. Mom said, where you been? I'm about my daddy's business. So this is the problem. This is why he gonna do this. It says the scepter shall not depart from Judah. It ain't gonna depart from that lion. You got to have that face. And if you don't have that face, you just get out of here. Leave here. Over here teaching vomit. I don't need nobody over here that's into vomit. Go back to where you came from. This is what this is all about. You don't have that face, bounce. Why? You ain't getting in no way. You think you can talk your way in there. That ain't gonna happen. It says, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, from between his eyes, until Shiloh comes. Oh, let's go there. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at something in Ezekiel. Well, I want to show you something in Ezekiel. I want to make sure you see it. I want to make sure you see this. In Ezekiel, we're going to look at this in 21, verse 7. Verse 21, and we want 27. 21, 27. Because he's telling you right here, I will overturn, because you don't have that face of the lion, and overturn, because you don't have that face of the lion either. Let me go to the next one. Overturn, because you don't have the face of the lion either. And it shall be no more. Because he going to keep going down the line until he come whose right it is, who got that face of that lion, and I give it to him. See, establishing divine authority that comes from one who rightfully claims rule, not letting your flesh rule, but truly presenting your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Because when you sitting there and you are timid to go talk to someone, I don't care who it is, and they sitting there throwing they little punk Jesus around, bring him over here. Meet me personally. See, will I not be talking about, let me find your Jesus, that man, so I can kill him. He was a punk from the beginning. But we had today many issues. People is fearful of speaking direct to friends and families, husbands, wives, children, the truth. So the same thing as it says, and he tells you right here, because this is why he's telling you, and he tells you right here in Matthew why a lot of people ain't going. That's here. Let's look at it. He's telling you right here in Matthew chapter 10, looking at verse 33. You see, we're still in Matthew. He says, but whosoever should deny me before men, you ain't going, well, I want to make sure I can go to the, to all the events that my family give. I want to make sure I always be able to go to them. So you're going to deny God. You're going to do this before men. All behind you sitting there valuing your ignorant, dumb family over everything else of God. Him will I deny before the Father, my Father, which is in heaven. So don't think he ain't going to deny you. You deny him, he deny you. Is that fair? Yes. Why are you going to call my family? Are they still in the church? Okay. It ain't hard to think of that. So it closed the connection with Judah. It closes that connection. And just let you know a side note. Just a side note. Don't you know a lot of people here ain't gonna make it? A lot of people here. But we see here, that you got to have that face of that lion. Then we got the face of the ox. That's Mark. Service. This sacrificial service, this face of the ox, it corresponds and it shows you got to have this face. The ox. Matthew. And it portrays this prophet Yahweh Jesus, the servant of Jehovah, emphasizing his sacrificial service and tireless labor. This ox was primarily just a workhorse. Ancient times of our forefathers. Representing this strength, this hardness for service. So when we're looking at Mark Gospels, even though it's the shortest and most action-packed one of the four, but it uses one special word, immediately. It uses immediately like crazy. It conveys Yahushua his constant movement from one act of service to another. So unlike Matthew, Mark gives no genealogy. Why? Because immediately he went to work. So he don't have no genealogy you looking there. It's beginning with instead Yahushua's baptism of his flesh being condemned and immediately entered into the ministry. He had to go to work. So much as an ox begins his service without this ceremony of introduction. He don't get no ceremony in Mark. It's just showing him just starting putting in work. So this gospel, it emphasizes how Yahushua, how Jesus, his work rather than his words, his details accounts of healing, deliverance, his practical ministry, his activities. See, it corresponds with this ox, the standard. It focuses on the implementation, this practical application rather than conceptual understanding or royal status. He putting in work. See, Mark portrays how Yahushua, Jesus, he climaxes to the ultimate sacrifice, this sacrificial service, his substitutionary death on this tree. Just as the ox was the primary sacrifice, this animal for the Levitical system. Tell me about it. See, the gospel emphasizes Christ's sacrificial nature, practical through extended passion, narrative, and occupies this professionally, where we're looking at the larger section of Mark in all other gospels. See, this ox, this standard, it'll remind us of followers of Christ that genuinely subject to spiritual authority that manifests through the service rather than dominion and rather than domination. So when you see in this fulfilling of Yahushua, it tells us. It makes sure things is clear to us. And I want to show you this. I want to show you this. Let's look at something in Mark. Let's look at something when you sitting there and you looking at Mark. We're going to see this in Mark 10. We're going to pick up 10, but we're going to pick it up at verse 43. Verse 43. We want to see this because I want you to see something that's clear here. Real clear here. He says, but so shall it be, shall it not be among you. Meaning what? Let's go up a little bit because I want you to understand this. But Yahweh, Jesus called them and said unto them, you know that which are accounted to rule over you, the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them. See, they great ones, the ones that's powerful, the ones that's rich, the ones that have money, the ones that carry all this weight. They don't want to exercise authority. You see it done today in this world. The dumbest people in the world can get a hold of some money and then everybody want to listen to what this person got to say. Like all of a sudden they got intelligence and just as dumb as a rock. And it says, but never will the great among you, but whosoever be great among you, whoever is great among you shall be your minister. He's going to be the servant. He's going to be the one going to feed you. He's going to be the one going to teach you. He's the one who's going to show you what's going on. Not exercising authority over you, but he's going to be the one got to put in work. I tell you right now, we can check this real quick. Actually, we were talking about it yesterday. Whoever's still working, how many people, not saying if you take them or not, but are you granted vacations at your job? See, that's a simple analogy. If you work, I'm not saying you take them or don't take them, but do you get vacation? And you're going to get yeses across the board. I can't say that. See, it's saying, right, I want to make sure we clear. He's saying, whosoever be great among you shall be your minister. He's going to be your servant. He has got to be your servant. Why? It says that whosoever will be chief shall be the servant. And serve all. Why? Even the Son of Man which came not to be ministered. I didn't come for you to be servants to me, but to minister and give life a ransom for many. I don't come over here for you to minister to me, to sit there to talk to me like you on my level. I didn't come over here for that. I don't go in the back for that. For you to sit there, well, we going to talk like we equal. I don't come back here for that. I don't go back there for that at all. I'm coming back there to be a servant, not back there to where people can sit back there and say, let me show people how bright I am. I ain't back there for that. I done put in all this study, went through Dr. Shaw, went through hell with him, but I love that man to death though. But he put me through some hell. And then I get some people over here, they done learned about one cracker and now all of a sudden we on the same level. I didn't come back here for that. I came back here to be a servant. Back here for when people don't understand, to teach them, to show them the right way to go. That's what I came back there for. That's what I go back there for. That's what these elders go back there to help for. They ain't coming back there for you to be on their level. Them deacons ain't come back there to be on your level. They came in there to put in work. And you're going back to that, I don't have vacation days. Me and my wife, wherever we go, she said, okay, well, you got time to study? Okay, yeah. Sometimes she'll sit there, hey, you good? Well, I'm getting ready to run here. I know you got to go to work. I'm going to run here. Okay. All right. You go ahead, you do what you got to do. Okay. All right. Do I feel bad? No. I got to work. By the time we go out, okay, hey, we need to be back at a certain night. You got to put in work. Yeah, got to put in work. Got work, but got to put in. So I got to get up earlier in the morning. So then I can at least go take some time to where we can hang out. It tells you. But whosoever is chief among you shall be the servant of all. Even the Son of Man come not to be ministered unto, but to minister, to be a servant. And to give life a ransom of many. That came, got to have the face of an ox. And if you don't have a face of an ox, and you sitting there, and if you picture yourself laying down eating grapes, take that mask off. You want me to get a little bit closer? You want me to get a little bit closer? I'll get a little bit closer. Any brother. I didn't say something. Any brother. I didn't say something. Any brother that's here, that's been here more than 6, 7, 8 months, and you don't have teachings being submitted, you eating grapes. Take off this mask. Take off that ox mask. Are we clear now? Are we clear? I ain't talking about the sisters. The sisters, they good. They already know. Sisters, let them know. Y'all know. All sisters put I who don't supposed to teach. All sisters put I who don't supposed to just put I. All you gotta do is put I, and we know right there. They already know. Hey, we ain't got nothing to do with this. that ain't on us. That ain't on us. That's on y'all. That's on y'all men. Eat grapes. Take off the face. Eat grapes, take off the face. Then we got the face of Luke. Humility. Man. See, this is supposed to be man over here. See, this is supposed to be the man face over here. See, the man corresponds with Luke. See, this gospel begin, it emphasizes how Yahushua, Jesus, this perfect humanity, this universal reverence to all mankind as the physician. Luke, he pays this particular attention to the man aspects of the life of Yahushua, Jesus. He pays particular attention to his life, his birth, his development, his emotions, his interactions with diverse people, with groups, compassion of men suffering. Many of the men standards particularly prominent in his narrative. Are you following me? Are you hearing me? See, Yahushua, this, when we're looking at Luke, it traces Jesus, Yahushua genealogy all the way back to Adam. Think all the way back to Adam. Just as Abraham establishes his as a representative of all children of Israel in the lineage of Jacob. So this universal scope, it corresponds with the man standard, emphasizes the common man. And see, people want to sit there and say, all children of the world came from Abraham. That's the biggest bold-faced lie you ever heard in your life. Because Abraham didn't produce all the people in the world. We're the fewest of all number. It's a crack up. So the gospel contains more accounts of Yahweh's interaction with women, children, and social outcasts. Why? Because the first thing men want to do is who? They want to belittle women. Tell me they don't. Go to a camp. Please go to a church, and the first thing they always want to, women, I tell you what, women, all I want women to do is women talking right now. All I want the women to do is, I want them to do all the talking right now. When you go inside of a church, you going to see what they going to tell y'all women. They going to tell y'all either y'all got to have on a dress and you better have your head covered. You go in any camp or church, tell all women got to do is put in knives. They went through that. Any woman that went in a church building and they made them put on a dress or wear a head covering, just put an eye. That's all you got to do. Just put an eye. You're gonna look at him. Watch him. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this. Look at how they belittled our sisters. Look at the silliness that what they done did to our sisters. Silly, idiotic ignorance that they done did to our sisters. On top of this, I want you to see something else. You go to some of these dumb communities, these dumb camps, they sit there, and women, some of y'all sit there, keep putting in eye if they said they can have multiple wives. Just keep putting in eye. Just keep putting in eye. They can have multiple wives. Y'all can't have multiple men. Because both are a lie. You see it right there? The proof is in the pudding. Everything benefiting the man, the men, it benefits him. That's why you see his interaction with women, children, the social outcasts, in all other gospels. So this ministry, it extends to all humanity, and it shows how it's confined to these religious, these social elites. The stupidity that these idiots do corresponds to the man's standards, focusing on comprehensive understandings that recognizes the value or potential in all Israel, regardless of social status or background. You ain't got to tell some sister, oh, you got to wear your pants. What you got on pants for? You fool. See, Luke, he emphasizes the development, nothing that see, when we looking at nothing that he increased in wisdom, he increased in stature. Actually, let me show it to you. I just wanted to let's pour this. I want to pour that one. We're going to look at Luke and we're going to look at 252. Why? We want to see that. I want to show you that. It says, in Jesus, Yahweh increased in wisdom and stature and in the favor of God and man. So you know he ain't God because he increased in wisdom and stature. So how can he sit there and increase? And then that lets you know that man was powerful than God. That lets you even know more so stupid going in these churches. This provides a pattern, a balance, being a servant according to Israel's standards. So we got numerous parables that's to Luke, such as the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son. See, this emphasizes Israel relationship, this ethical obligation, this emotional experience that transcends cultural boundaries. So these stories, it demonstrates how Israel's standards operate in practical relationships, establishing patterns of reconciliation, compassion on restoration, and fulfilling Israel's purpose. So it's bearers of Jehovah's image. So just like what I was saying with Luke, it details the account of Yahweh Jesus suffering during the passion of this narrative. See, it emphasizes that Christ's full identification, the children of Jacob, Israel's experience providing the pattern of their response and suffering according to the spiritual divine rather than the fallen standards of man. And what I'm saying is this. Any man that's tied to a camp that's sitting there telling a woman she can't wear pants, take that face off. Any place that sit there saying he can have more than one wife, take that face off. Why? Because you'll never get in the kingdom. Ever get in the kingdom. You wasting your time. And anybody over here who sit there still want to kind of hold to that, take that face off. because you ain't getting in the kingdom. You wasting your time. I'm telling you. Then we got John, old John. Old John, he's unique. He's unique. That cat called me, but I'm going to finish out John. Because I got a lot more, but I'm going to finish John. I'm going to finish. I don't care what goes on. I'm going to finish John. Because John is the face of the ego. He's the face of the ego. And actually, I'm going to use all three. I'm going to use the other three places just to go into this. Because the ego face, it corresponds to John's gospel. See, it emphasizes that Jesus or Yahweh's spiritual divine understanding transcends beyond earthly understandings. People sitting there like, what? Let me show it to you. See, the ego soars higher than any other bird. Tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody I told you this secret. But did you know the eagle is the only bird that can fly high in the sky, gazing directly into the sun? Did you know an eagle can do that? Yeah, I didn't know he can do that. Yeah, they can do that. He can gaze directly into the sun. But his visual capacity, his face, it represents his spiritual vision. These heavenly perspectives, directly communing with the spiritual glory of God. So his qualities, his permit, is John's perception, his narrative. So John begins not with an earthly genealogy. It don't start with an earthly genealogy, but it starts with a revelation of the word as Jehovah Christ, who proceed directly out of the mouth of the Father. In the beginning was the word. Why? Because we're going to look at something. Let's go here to Sirach. Let's put some things together. Let's look at Sirach, and we're going to look at Sirach chapter 24, but we're going to pick it up at verse 3, and we're going to get an understanding there. And it says, and out of the mouth of the Most High, and covered the whole earth as a cloud. His word. His word. His word. And when his word went out, rather than talking about these earthly lineages that these stupid people talk about, we know one thing. It describes this here. Let's look at something. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon and get a better understanding. Wisdom of Solomon 18:15. And it says, the almighty word leaped down out of heaven. Why? Because he sent that word out there. The word had to put in some work. See, the word couldn't eat grapes. The word had to go to work. You go out the mouth of the Lord, you going to put in some work. Why? Because you can't eat grapes. So he had to go out the royal throne as a fierce man of war in the midst of a land of destruction. Really. And the word had to put in work. How do we know? Because he tells you right here in Isaiah chapter 55, looking at verse 11. And it tells you that. So shall my word go forth out of my mouth? In the beginning was the word. It should not return unto me void. Okay, I sent you out, but you better come back with something. And it got to be pure. I'm going to send you out, but you better come back with something. You can go, but you better come back with something. And it's going to accomplish that which I please, and it should prosper into the thing whereto I send it. And he sent it in us. See, John establishes this divine nature, this opening declaration. In the beginning was the word was with God, the word was God. This heavenly perspective, it corresponds with the ego standard, the capacity to raise above earthly limitations, to perceive eternal realities, unlike the summary of the Gospels. So John's narrative is structured around 7 miraculous signs. 7 miraculous signs. See, they reveal the word, spiritual divine nature, demonstrating the ego standards, focusing on perceiving spiritual significance beyond physical manifestations. The Gospels contains exclusive discourse sections where Jehovah in flesh, when he's residing in there, it transcends truth. of his identity, the relationship with the Father, corresponding with the ego standards because it emphasizes the revelations rather than just being observational. So when we're looking at John's Gospels, particularly emphasizing on the spiritual beginning of the word, it transcends physical existence. See, this teaching, it begins with born from above. See, he does that a lot, born from above. Receiving life more abundant. You see how he runs that a lot in here. He runs that a lot in here. See, this corresponds with the ego. The focus is on this spiritual transformation rather than behavioral modifications and intellectual understandings to extend the farewell discourse. You follow me? See, this reveals this intimate communion between the Father and the Son, his servant. So we know this word. This word was Jehovah. We have to understand that. It goes beyond what we know. Because that's why he said this, and this is why even with Moses and them didn't understand this. But it tells you clearly here, he says, I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name, by the way of God Almighty, but by my name Jehovah. My way Jehovah, I was not known to them. I wasn't known to them. This is why even when we're looking at Thomas, that's why he can even sit there and say, my Lord, my God. Because when we look at verse 7, it says, I take you to me, for a people not be to you a God. And ye should know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out of the burdens under the Egyptians. It's telling you this. It's letting you know this. So now we can see more of what's happening. Now we can see more of what's happening. But we got to get into a lot more. Oh, we got a lot more to get into. Oh, we got a whole lot more to get into because we just getting this party started. This party is just getting started. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have to stop it here because if not, I can go in another couple of hours. But what I want to do is let people know one thing, because we actually we're gonna have to break it here. We have to break it here, and get ready for things that got to go into back. And what we're going to do is I had these sisters where they supposed to take care of some work for me. And they're going to be presenting something that's pretty special where we're going through some words. So I'm inviting everybody to come back there. So if you come back there and you're new back there, please make yourself known. Because if not, we will bring it up. But everybody is welcome to be back there. So I'm going to say that again. Everybody's welcome to be back there. But if you new back there, just make yourself known. That's all. That's literally all I ask. But don't come back there any other way. So what we're going to do, we're going to end it here. And we got to pick this up. We're going to pick this up and we're going to keep moving through this and get a better understanding. And the same as what we'll be picking up on tomorrow, we have our deacons be running tomorrow. So we'll be starting early in the morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time and 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be starting with Deacon Hicks, and I believe we got a switch out. I'm going to have to talk with Deacon Khalil because I believe the board, they switched it around. And I believe we have Brother Travis bringing forth a teaching tomorrow. So I believe that was switched out. I'm not sure how that went, but I'm going to find out. But he had let me know exactly what's going on. So I'll be talking with Deacon Khalil and find out those switches. But what we're going to do right now, we're going to go into a Zoom. And we're going to get ready to get started with that. But hopefully, everybody got a beautiful understanding, but we're going to be ready to understand how these words work. We're going to find out what's going on here today. So as we get ready to do that, I say right now to each and every person, we're among the captives in the rivers of Chebar. We are here. But we can free ourselves from this bondage of ignorance as we continually move forward. So I say to each and every one of you, until we we meet again, I say to you, Shalom.